This is a demonstration of using zipper tubing Z-block tape to water block a electrical wire bundle. To perform this procedure, we're going to use standard PRT tubing. It could also be done with standard shrink tubing, and zipper tubing Z-block tape. This is a polyimide hot melt adhesive that will flow when exposed to heat and fill gaps and voids. I'd suggest that you go to zippertubing.com and review the PRT installation data sheet, especially when it comes to sizing the zipper tubing. You need to get the correct size, and you definitely want the tubing to be on a little bit on the large size. Now I have a 1/2 inch cable here, so I'm going to use the number 5 PRT for this process. Also, there's a specific water blocking document on the website as well, which is also downloadable, that will walk you through the steps of installing the Z-block hot melt tape. This process can be done on single conductor large cable, or it can also be done on multi-conductor cables. This demonstration is going to be on multi-strand cable. It's a little more complex and involves weaving the hot melt tape in and out of the individual strands so that there is enough adhesive system present to fill all the voids. One of the disadvantages to using standard adhesive line shrink tubing is that there is not generally enough adhesive to fill all the voids in a cable. I have a sample cable here, and just under this situation, I'm going to water block this area. This might be in an engine compartment or something, and going through a firewall, and the desire is to keep the cable soft and flexible as much as possible, but keep moisture from working its way up into the wire harness. So what I've done here is I've taken the standard 2-inch wide Z-block tape, and I've just cut it approximately 1 inch wide to make it easy to work with. What I'm going to do is splay out the cable and weave the material in and out. The amount of adhesive that you need to use is an experience thing. It's hard to know exactly how much to use. You do want to maintain the bundle diameter such that you don't build up such a large diameter that the PRT tubing will want to split open. This can be controlled to some degree by how you heat the part, recognizing that the bundle may be somewhat larger than you would normally size the tubing for. But essentially all I've done is weave it in and out, trying to get more adhesive on the installation than I might just from wrapping around the outside. Any strand that doesn't have some adhesive around it potentially can leak, and so that looks pretty good. Let's just leave it at that. Now after you've woven the tape in and out a little bit, you can wrap the remainder around the outside. I typically like to, what have I got going here? I like to get a couple lines. The thing to keep in mind, typically I have about 1 inch to 1.5 inches width, and I just want to make sure that I get quite a bit of adhesive there. Now you can see that the diameter of the bundle has grown somewhat. that's just something to keep in mind, that it's going to want to split your tubing open if you're not careful. Okay, now again, with all PRT tubings, you want to use a reducer to concentrate the heat on the overlap seam of the PRT tubing. I'm also going to use the hot air gun here to hold the hot melt tape in place by heating it up, heating the heat gun up, and just touching the adhesive. And generally get it to stick to itself so that it holds itself together. Now, because this cable is short, I'll just cut a short piece of the tubing. Again, the big advantage of doing this is when you're done, this area will be water blocked, no moisture will go on up the cable, but the rest of the cable will remain somewhat flexible. If you were to use an adhesive line tubing or use this adhesive all the way along, this would bind the assembly and make it very, very conduit-like. So I'm going to install the PRT tubing in the standard fashion as described in the installation instructions. We're going to peel the release liner back about 1 inch and overlap the adhesive, and get it lined up here. Usually getting started is the most difficult part of the whole process. Alright, there we go. Once we get it along, we just cover the adhesive, trying to line the overlap edge up with the adhesive edge. And just again, as in standard PRT tubing, we're going to rub the area good with our thumb and get it worked down well. Now, what I'm going to do is sometimes it's advantageous to hit the hot melt adhesive a little bit with the hot air gun before you locate the tubing over it. This allows you to let some of that adhesive soak in without putting the load on the PRT overlap flap. And as you can see, it's starting to melt, and now there's no compression on this, so now I'm going to pull my tubing over it, and if I do this right, I don't make a big mess. Actually, I think I may want to Again, on PRT tubing, I'm just applying the heat to the overlap flap area only. And it's desirable to let this area cool down a little bit prior to pursuing the slowly apply heat to the hot melt area and make sure it gets good and hot so the adhesive flows. Now I have a big blob there sticking out, but that's not necessarily undesirable.